One Piece chapter 1020 is out, and it's titled Robin vs. Black Maria, so that means we're going to see one of my most anticipated fights of Wano. The cover story this week is about Denjiro eating some shrimp tempura, but he's just dreaming, and in reality he's just eating his hair. And there's also a tiger sitting next to him who's drooling, so I'm imagining he's kind of doing the same thing where he's thinking about eating something, but just doesn't have it. The chapter starts with Kaido explaining just what fruit Yamato has, and it turns out to be the Makami, a mythical Zoan dog fruit. Not only does Kaido mention how valuable it was for him to get that, and how difficult it was for him to get that, but looking into the Makami a little bit, it's got some interesting ties to Yamato. Basically, the Makami was a great wolf spirit that was revered as a sacred beast, and it protected the Yamato prefecture. The Makami was worshipped as a guardian that protected the good and fought against the evil, and fought fiercely. And with the way Kaido talks, it seems like that's kind of what he wanted Yamato to do, to protect Wano. Almost as if he's been doing all of this purely for the sake of getting Yamato at the head of Wano. It makes you wonder why specifically he wants Yamato to be there, because it seems like not only is he setting up Yamato to be the shogun of Wano, but it's like he's stepping down or he's stepping back. So what is he doing in which he wants Yamato to be the top and he's going to be going somewhere else, or he's going to be taking care of something else? Is there another plan that Kaido has for Wano that doesn't exactly include him? He also talks about the way Orochi ruled things as if he wasn't exactly doing what Kaido wanted with Wano, but the result was the same. He created a weapons factory, and basically he created a place that Yamato can take over and be a powerful ruler of. So again, there's something to what Kaido is doing here in Wano that piques a lot of my interest, and I really want to know what his plans are, because it's becoming more and more elaborate than just, trying to take over a country, trying to take over to find something really important in Wano. It seems like he really has a plan for what Wano is and what he wants it to be. Now, they are fighting as they attack, and for the most part, it definitely shows that Kaido has the upper hand. He's pushing Yamato back pretty much in any clash, and then they collide with what looks to be two versions of Blast Breath. We have Kaido's, which we know is basically a fireball, and then we have Yamato's, which I think is some kind of ice-based fire. The breath attacks seem to clash pretty evenly, but it does seem like Yamato is running out of breath and Kaido is more or less just chilling. Even still, I think we're going to see more from Yamato's fruit before this kind of interaction here ends and before Luffy gets here. Now, after this, we finally move back to the Robin and Black Maria fight, which, as I said before, this is one of my most anticipated fights of Wano. I've been waiting for seeing this. Now, apparently Black Maria has the ability to create illusions. If you look into the lore of the Joragumo, they do have the ability to create illusions to draw people in, which I assume is what's happening here. We see Olvia, we see Clover, we see Saul, and they're all calling to Robin, and naturally, Robin has a happy face, but we know Robin well enough to know that she wouldn't fall for something like this, that she's way too smart, that she's way too keen on situations to all of a sudden fall for, everyone she loved showing up in one place. So she easily dispatches all of the clones, the illusions, and it's just a bunch of smile users, and apparently one of the numbers are female, which I thought was really cool. I didn't really expect that, and I didn't really think about it, but I'm glad to see that there's some difference in the numbers. They start chasing Robin and Brook down the hall, and it looks like they were trying to do the same thing with Brook and the illusions, but that's obviously not going to work on him either. He spent too much time, thinking about his friends for this to just be the place where they show up. Now, eventually we see Black Maria again, and she's joining the chase. She's still using the weapon with the face within the wheel, and it turns out it's a pug smile user, so it's a little dog with a human face that's starting the fires. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but I assume it's just a part of the smile, so I won't question it too much. Now, Black Maria is basically creating fire everywhere, and including what Orochi did, basically I feel like at the end of the day, most if not all of this castle area is going to be burnt to the ground, because everyone's just starting fires, no one really cares about that. And to be fair, I don't think Kaido's going to care that much anyway. I know he's going to drop Onigashima on Wano, and I don't know how much of the castle he really wants to use. And I also want to point out, it's a very subtle thing, but the way Robin is using Spider Net, where normally she would create to catch something, she's using it to hold herself up in the air. I think that's really cool. Now, while they're up in the air, Brook uses a new ability called Cold Soul, and we've seen him take his soul out of his body and move it around before, but he's actually using it this time to inflict damage. He's able to freeze the little pug within Black Maria's wheel by passing through it. Now, I do wonder how effective this is on bigger opponents or like stronger opponents. I want to see what that would do to them, because for the pug, it immediately freezes it and takes it out of commission. Now, Black Maria starts running through this spiel of basically people are going to leave Robin. She is the person who has all this information, everyone's hunting her down, she's burdening the crew, and eventually they're going to leave so they don't have to deal with that burden. Now, we all know that Ines Lobby didn't happen for nothing. We all know that this isn't going to affect Robin at all, and if anything, it's going to motivate her more to attack back. And not only is Robin unfazed by all of that, but she goes in the defense for Sanji, who previously called for her to come up and save him. She also makes comment that Sanji is one of the wings that will allow the Pirate King to soar. And you can look at this a couple of ways. I've seen it where there's an SBS talking about how Zoro and Sanji are the wings that help Luffy pretty much soar. And you can look at it that way, or you can look at it as in all of the crew are different wings that allow Luffy to soar. Basically, his friends are what makes him able to reach new heights. And I think that looking at it both ways works in the context of the story. I don't necessarily know if there's a specific way you're supposed to look at it, but there are a few ways you can look at it. We then see Robin use Gigante Fleur, which is a giant Robin clone with a bunch of hands around it. Kind of reminds me of Netero's Buddha or like Hashirama's Thousand Hands. It's something similar to that, but obviously it's not as intricate as that. It's only got a couple of hands and it's just Robin. But it looks to be on par with the size of Black Maria, maybe bigger. Just because of the aspect we're looking at, I'm not entirely sure. But this is shaping up to be an interesting matchup if Robin's going to basically use a big clone to fight Black Maria. Now, the last part of the chapter covers Luffy and Momo meeting back up. So they've been trying to get Luffy some meat, and obviously he's clearing through the stock because it's Luffy. He always eats everything. And Momo and Shinobu are here. So instead of Momo turning into a dragon and gliding down, it seems like they used Shinobu's kite, which I would find kind of boring and kind of like lackluster to the story if the end of this chapter wasn't Luffy telling Momo that he's going to have to be a dragon to fly back up. So basically, Luffy is proposing a challenge to Momo to kind of not only get over his fears, but to step it up. Because even in this portion right here, Momo is talking about what happened to Kinemon and Kiku, and Luffy's saying this isn't the time for that. You don't have time to cry, you don't have time to stop. We have to go back up there and fight Kaido, and you have to do it. And for a while now, Luffy has kind of been Momo's mentor as far as becoming a strong person, becoming strong-willed, being able to handle things in times of crisis. So I think this is going to be a really big defining moment for Momo, and the ability for him to get over his fears, be able to control his fruit better, be able to make the difference he's been trying to make the entire time. I think that we're finally going to see a lot of growth from Momo, and by the time we get back up to Onigashima, I think we're going to see a different character than who we started with. I don't necessarily think he's going to fight anybody or challenge anybody, but I think this will be a defining moment for his character and just him being able to overcome the weaknesses he's been looking at this time. While this is happening, we also get shown that Kuribo's here, and he's been sitting in the background kind of just observing what's going on. Basically, he's hoping that Luffy wins so he can get out of Wano. Now, we know that he has a lot of utility to the story right now. He knows about Poseidon, one of the ancient weapons. Kaido and Big Mom are looking for ancient weapons to use against the world government, so he has some intel on that. We know about his Devil Fruit, we know that he has utility in that form. We know that he can kind of be useful in this scenario. So if he's going to go up with them and fight alongside Luffy against the Beast Pirates, that would be interesting. I don't know if he's looking to just be an observer from the background, but I think it would be interesting for him to go up there and possibly be captured by Big Mom, who is looking for all the answers to the ancient weapons. Basically, he has knowledge that we need to see disseminated in some way, shape, or form. Whether he voluntarily gives it to Kaido, whether Big Mom takes it, whether he gives it to Luffy, we don't know where that's going. We just know that it kind of has to be used in some regard, and that there's no reason for him to be here if it's not going to be for that reason. This week's chapter felt really good to read. It felt like one of those ones where when it got to the end, I was kind of hoping, there'd be a next chapter, or like something else for me to go into. Like it didn't necessarily end on a cliffhanger. It didn't really do anything explosive, but just the way the chapter, kind of flowed, it felt like, you just wanted to keep reading and keep reading and keep reading, which I think is really nice. I have a video idea planned because I want to get into the backstory and lore of Kaido before we actually get into it in the manga. I want to talk about, kind of what he's doing here, because every chapter. It seems like there's just so much more to Kaido and how he's trying to do things. And every time I read about it, I want to explore it deeply. So I'm going to try and do a video on that, really get into it and see if there's some meat that we can uncover before it comes up in the story. As always, I would appreciate a like, comment, subscribe. Please check out the description below. There's going to be a poll in there. And I will catch you guys in the next one.